kept waiting.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, no, yeah, get that toe. Yeah. The one further along. Yeah, nearer the pinky. Yeah, brilliant. Oh, that's so good. Okay, yeah. Oh god. Oh, hold on. Let me just take this. Hello. Yeah, I'm not fucking having a pedicure. So this better be good. You want me to host CrossCast? The video game podcast? Yeah. Okay. What next week or something? Tonight, Tuesday 17th, tonight. Okay. I was supposed to know about that. Okay, I was supposed to know about this. All right. No one's died or anything. Everyone's still alive. Okay. Well, that's good news. That's great news. You got a few rules for me. Okay. No what? No fat shaming. Okay. No fat shaming. I can't mention the FA Cup final. Okay. Why would I mention that? Like, famously, there's no way I'll talk about that anyway. I don't even know what the FA Cup final is. There's no way I will be saying the words on this podcast, FA Cup final. They're on now? What the fuck? Okay, right. Well, let me just get over there. Okay, all right. Yep, I'm on my way. Sake, trying to have a relaxing time. Oh, shit. Guys, sorry about that. I'm late. There was pedicure. It was delicious. Toes looking, just say amazing. So who have we got? We got Dan. You're there. How you doing?
Hello. You okay? Thanks for pretty much getting every single horrible thing into that intro. I really appreciated it. It's great. Thank you.
That was just the call I had, man. I'm just here. The call came in.
Okay.
I had to take it. I didn't even know who that was.
It's fine.
Just a strange Scottish accent. So I'm not even sure who it is. I'm one of the producers. Ben, you're here as well. How you doing?
I'm here. Yep, good. Here and
present
and everywhere. That's
had a good week.
Yeah, really nice week. Good.
Have you had any sort of pedicure or manicure or anything like that?
Just the daily one, like usual.
Okay. Yeah. No, I like to try.
Little treatment.
I'm the same. I try and do every other day. I wouldn't go daily, but you London types,
Yeah. Backsack and crack as well.
Backsack and crack, the full works.
Full works. Unlike Alex, who's got it all on display today. For anyone watching the video version.
What, Buffalo Bill in the top left?
I'm quite pleased the call didn't come in when I was having my back crack and sack down. That would have been quite an event. Alex, talking of none of those. How you doing?
I'm very well, thanks.
Yeah, you played any games or anything?
Played a few games. Had my feet in a few fish tanks.
Nice. Gone for the fish treatment. Eating the dead skin.
They had to stop doing that, didn't they?
Yeah. Have they?
Yeah, it was an
They'll do it in
insurance risk.
Scotland, it's fine.
Yeah, of course they do. It's a fish and chip shop.
You can still get, university grants and fish, dead fish, something. Dead skin fish. I don't know. I lost that.
Utopia.
Right. It's Utopia. North of the border, it's all Utopia. Well, welcome. I'm here late, but here we are, episode 71, CrossCast. We're here to talk about video games. Should we crack onto it? Should we do it?
Let's.
Yeah.
Let's fucking do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Rock and roll. Well, guys, I had a thought, so I thought I'd share that thought and get your thoughts on it. How do we feel about that?
Yeah, great. Yeah. Do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's the same thought you shared on the first take, then sure, go for it.
It might be the same thought. That's all I'm going to say.
Fine.
No, I was just watching live TV for the first time in ages on Saturday, and I don't normally have anything live. It's all just your Netflixes and your doohickeys like that, streaming content. And I just got this amazing buzz out of watching the Eurovision and FA Cup finals live. And I just thought, is there room in this jaded universe of you know, how do we feel? Do we want to play games as they arrive? Is there a way that they could be beamed in, like live like that? Is there any world that can happen? What do we think? Alex, thoughts?
Definitely. Like, I'm very much a day one person. Like, I like to be there as it drops, getting right in amongst it, bugs and all. I mean, and it's not like we've not had live video games before.
You're right. Dan, you're right there.
Bugs and all.
Oh, Tuesday night chaos.
Bugs.
It's Tuesday night chaos.
Somebody said bugs and all. Oh, that was so funny. Oh, brilliant.
But what I was going to say is, I mean, we have dabbled in the live games before. Do you remember things like 1 versus 100 back in the original Xbox 360 days? You used to get 100 people playing the game with a little electronic host. Those were the glory days. That's what you'd get back to.
Is that what Fall Guys is, basically?
Basically, yeah.
No, because it was a quiz, so it was like a game show.
Okay.
Fall Guys is like a game show.
Fall Guys like game show, but it's a more practical one. Yeah, it's more practical one.
So it's actually timed, is it? So if you're not there at the moment, it's gone.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was. Well, Fall Guys isn't, but that was.
No.
What are we defining as a live game? That's what I'm confused by.
I'm so confused. Do you know what? I'm so confused. I've been playing a lot of 13 Sentinels, and that is all about these fucking time loops, and I feel like I'm just
You're in one.
time loop now.
You are Bill Murray.
Is this real? Yeah, very weird.
We're going to do this again in a minute, Ben. So don't worry about it.
Is my mic on?
Keep doing this till we get it right. Don't worry. Groundhog Day. Okay, well, we didn't really clear that up, but should we jump into pick up and play?
Oh, right.
Welcome to Pick Up and Play. This is the section of this podcast where we talk about things that we've picked up and things that we've played. That's why it's called Pick Up and Play. So you all clear? You're clear about what the rules are of this game?
Yeah.
Yeah, got it. Great.
Not a game.
Not a game.
Oh,
Fact.
not a game. You sure?
Yeah.
I've kind of...
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's great. Right, I'm looking at this. Ben, you've been playing a little game called Sifu. Tell us about it, please.
I'd be delighted to. Yes. So Sifu. Hopefully everyone will know what it is, but it's is it PS5? Is it on the PS4 as well, Dan?
Yep.
I think possibly. Yeah, it's PlayStation exclusive. Anywho, and it is it's basically a beat 'em up with a cool aging mechanic where you every time you die, you sort of come back to life, but you age by the amount of times that you've died. So if you die once, you age 1 year. If you die twice, you age 2 more years after that, and so on and so forth. So that makes it quite interesting, makes it a little bit like kind of semi-roguelite, I would say. But that's what Sifu is. My time with Sifu has been interesting because I originally I didn't get it on release because obviously the physical version came out a little bit later, and I wanted that one. And as luck would have it, they released an easy mode and a hard mode at the same time as the physical version. So I thought, perfect timing. I will jump into that when the physical comes out. Because I'd heard, obviously, I'm sure we've all heard how difficult the game is, and I kind of wasn't up for that. So I thought, right, I'll jump into it, play it on the easy difficulty. When I first started it, I don't think that patch had come through yet, so I did the tutorial in normal, which was like the only difficulty setting then. and that was actually okay. And then I sort of finished the tutorial, came back to it later, saw that the patch had been updated, switched it to easy mode, and then left it again. And then when I went back to it after that, I started it, and I was like, fucking hell, this is actually still pretty difficult. And I was getting through it, but it was still very challenging. So I kind of just put it down. I thought, bollocks to this. I'm not up for just getting my ass kicked constantly. And then over the course of about a week, I thought, I wonder if when I switched it to easy mode, whether I'd saved it after that point. And lo and behold, I hadn't. So I'd been playing it in normal mode the whole time. And so as soon as I switched it down to easy, it was bloody lovely. And I absolutely barreled through it. And yeah, it played much, it's supposed to be, it's kind of like these difficulty modes make it kind of 2 games in one. So you can play it as this really technical, you need to be perfect at it. You need to work out the timing of parries and everything else. You need to know the layout of every single level, where all the weapons are, who you're going to hit first, where you're going to dodge, all of that stuff. If you can be asked, and if that's the sort of game that you're after, then go for it. Similar to Elden Ring. That's how you want to play, sword and board, go for it. But this easy mode, I think it's student difficulty it's called, basically just takes all of that away, and then it just plays like a kind of Streets of Rage. And it's still challenging. You still have to think about it. It's not just mindless violence, but it just turns it into a really cool, very modern, very stylish and slick brawler, which, yeah, took me, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours to get through the whole thing. And I think if I wanted to add a little bit of extra challenge, I'd probably go after the trophies, but on easy mode. But yeah, I think maybe playing it that way definitely does deter from the original intention of the developers, I think. So there's, it's supposed to be this kind of technical fighter, but it's great that they've given you the option to have it as just a fun kind of beat 'em up in a traditional style without having to. Because I don't like defending. I don't like parrying. I'd never do that in games. So if I can roll out of the way and get some shots in and then roll out of the way again, happy days. So yeah, really, really, really enjoyed it, and I would recommend it to anyone who's after not only what it was originally sold as, which is that kind of really challenging technical fighter, but also anyone that's after something that just, you just want to go around smashing a load of people's faces in. Either way, it's really good. Mark, you played it a bit, didn't you?
I have played it a bit, yeah. I've played a few hours of battling away. This was back when it only had the one difficulty mode, so I'm keen to jump in and try it. And a bit like you were saying, I'm probably, with this sort of brawler type game, I'm more interested in just, as you say, just going from enemy to enemy, bashing them, rolling away, bashing them a bit more, and not developing the time and the complexity and that you have to put in to get all of the maneuvers and your blocking and parrying and all that. It's a bit like fighting games for me. I'm never as interested in them because of that.
Yeah.
And I probably would be more interested in this one if it had like like a co-op mode or something where you could be playing with someone else. But it's interesting that you mentioned the age effect. I think that's something that is really interesting with the game, and you sort of touched upon it, but it is really cool that when you sort of die temporarily, you sort of come back as slightly older, and that affects how fast you are and how much strength you've got and all the rest of it. I think that's a really interesting mechanic.
Yeah, it does. It differentiates it from being just a brawler. Like, you can, when you die, you can then go to your upgrades, and if you've got enough XP by then, you can upgrade. And there's several unlocks and stuff you can get. But yeah, I think it's worth playing through, even for someone that maybe played it initially like yourself and then was put off by the difficulty. Go back to it, drop it down to easy, because it's really worth seeing where they go with all the level design, because it starts off you're just in the streets, but it's really imaginative, really creative what they do with it. So I think it's well worth playing through on whatever difficulty mode you want to do.
Cool, yeah. Sorry.
Sorry, I was going to say, do you think it deserves that buzz of kind of indie game of the year, which a lot of people feel it's kind of nailed on for.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, for me, look, I think I've hamstrung my own experience with the game a little bit by playing it on easy mode. It's taken something away from what they were, what the original intention was. But I can certainly see there's enough there for me. Like if they just released it as a brawler, like a modern day Streets of Rage Final Fight kind of game, that was that easy to start with, I think people would have been just as happy with it, because some of the negativity that came around originally was, this is too hard, this is like frustrating, I'm just having to replay the same level over and over again. And you know, a lot of people don't like that. So yeah, I think it deserves, definitely, of the games I've played this year, indie wise, that's definitely very near the top. Absolutely.
Were there any bits where you felt like you missed out because it was on easy? Like sometimes you play a bit and you think, oh, I just breezed through that whole section, and if I had been playing it on a slightly harder difficulty, I would have spent more time and it would have been more satisfying in that space.
No, I think because I you know, there's trophies that, I know you don't care about them yourself, Mark, but there's trophies you can get for finishing the game below a certain age. So I think you can get so I've got one for finishing it below 50 years old. There's another one for finishing it below 25 years old, which is difficult because you start at 20. So to get through the whole game only dying 5 times is tricky. Because yeah, on the student difficulty, every time you die, it only goes up by 1 year. So you don't age. You know, if you die 10 times, you don't go up age another 10 years. You only age another 1 year, if that makes sense. But yeah, I really love it. I think it's that the presentation's incredible. Music is probably the best soundtrack I've heard this year.
The music and the presentation was just fantastic.
Yeah,
it really was. I love some of the maneuvers, like jumping over the tables and picking stuff up. Yeah, Alex, have you played it at all?
No, I haven't played it. It's one that I will play at some point, whether I get it in the sale or I think it is only a timed exclusive on PlayStation, so I think it will come to Xbox eventually, and maybe hopefully Game Pass or new PlayStation Plus, who knows. So at that point I will definitely pick it up, because it was one I was interested in at the time, but the difficulty it put me off, because I think particularly when you're in the middle of Elden Ring and you're already punishing yourself, you don't want to be punishing it with something else on top of that. So I kind of left it from that for that time, but I will definitely play it probably over the summer when everything kind of work through the backlog as I'm trying to do at the minute. But it looks, as you say, the presentation of it looks incredible, and the music they've done for a small studio, they've done a great job.
It's definitely a game that's been on everyone's sort of lips this year. Like, you hear a lot of chatter about it. Dan, is it something you're interested in, man?
Sorry, lips. No, not really. I've seen it like on the shelf a couple of times and thought, don't want to pick it up. I think it's going down to quite a reasonable price now as well. I'm just going to shut this because the cat's doing me at it. It's gone to like a reasonable price now as well. So I was kind of looking at it going, is it going to be a me kind of game? And probably not. I'd rather jump into something like Returnal again with like a maybe, I don't know if it's got an easy mode yet, but I really want to explore that world a little bit more.
Co-op, hasn't it now? That would be cool.
Yeah, so co-op and Returnal sounds really cool. So I think that's the kind of challenge experience that I'd rather have, rather than going to play something like a fighting game. And like Alex said, just after that challenge of Elden Ring, I want to be selective now with the games that I'm playing. So sticking away from.
Do you think, Ben? Do you think Sifu, having played it, you think it's a game that requires quite a bit of finger dexterity?
I would say so. I think you'd need some sort of trophy to prove your dexterity.
Right. Okay. Definitely. Is there any way? How could you improve, Alex? How would you improve your finger dexterity?
Need to work it out. Need to get a good finger workout on the go.
Yeah. What could that be called? A finger. Like, we may as well alliterate it. I think let's just go finger fitness. There we go. It's a good alliteration. Dan, you played Indie in a Bottle, I think.
I haven't played it yet. I told you this. I was going to play it because I was meant to be producing a podcast tonight, so that was going to be my 15 minutes. So Do you want me to talk about something I have played? Is that
Yeah.
Or do you want to
just messy.
I know you are.
Please talk about something you have played.
I know you are. Don't worry. Been playing Donut County, so I've finished that. I've spoken about it a couple of times on the cross button. If you go to your usual feed, it is in there. The latest episode. Ka-ching. There we go. Heather. There we go. Loza got our little feed in. Really enjoyed it. So I played it a bit on PlayStation, and I've also played a bit on mobile. Finished it on mobile in the end. That is a really, really fun game. Really sweet, really charming. Very, very well written. Music, just the overall polish of that game's fantastic. So, I think it's $5 on the Apple Store, or it'd probably be similar on Android if you've got that.
Yeah.
And you can pick it up for buttons as well on the PSN store if you want to get it there.
I think it's on Game Pass. It certainly was on Game Pass. I'm not sure if it still is.
Yeah. So it tells the story of a little raccoon that I can't remember the name of, but I'm sure Ben will.
BK.
There we go, BK. And basically he's creating these holes because he works in the donut shop. And as he's delivering donuts, he's just appearing in these kind of like backyards of people that have ordered these donuts, creating a hole. And you have to start small. The mechanic will be like, okay, you need to get some grass and some pots, and then it'll get bigger and bigger until you get in a watering can, and then you get in an animal, and all of these things are going into this giant pit. And the clever thing with the story is it keeps on flashing back right at the start, maybe like a couple of days in advance of all these animals that are in the pit. BK is trying to justify what he's done. And I think that's where I'm enjoying it the most, is when you finish each level and you get this extended narrative then of BK trying to justify why he's being such a bell end to people. And it's just really, really lovely. I won't ruin the story for you, but even the last couple of levels, whilst it's not very challenging at all, it's just really fun to see how the world interacts with this hole as you're eating things. And then the different kind of parts and different kind of challenges that you've got to do, and some of the puzzles that are in it as well. Just really cool. So yeah, definitely play it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a bit of a change of pace for you, man. What prompted you to start playing it?
I was getting the train and I didn't have my Switch on me, so I was just like, I feel like playing something, and I've been playing like a match 3 kind of game for about a year now, and I'm on like level 2,300 on it. So I've dropped off that game and thought, well, no, Donut County's been really popular. Thought I'd just give that a whirl and then see what I went for it. But I've downloaded quite a few of the Kairosoft games as well for my mobile, so I'll be jumping into them as well, because I used to love those games.
It's a cracking soundtrack as well.
Yeah,
that
amazing.
County one.
Yeah,
I quite often listen to that. Very chilled. It's like chilled hip hop beats to study to, isn't it? One of those ones.
Exactly. Yeah, lo-fi.
Yeah.
But, so you guys have all played it. You've played it as well, Alex?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, Alex, we've got the platinum for it, haven't we? Surely.
Well, I've got 1000G. Yeah.
I've got 1000G.
Because it is a nice, easy platinum as
Yeah.
well for those people that care about those sort of things. But yeah, I am a big fan of this game, and I think Dan on Cross Button you said, it's one of our Desert Island cartridges, isn't it? Sissy Jones.
Sissy Jones. Yeah.
Can anyone remember what her other choice was? Because it was unprecedented. She chose 2 games. Anyone recall what the second one was?
It was another mobile game, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
I can't remember what it was though.
I told you Pick Up and Play was a game, and it's come true.
I've gamified it for you.
You've manifested
Thanks,
this,
man.
Mark. Well done.
I think it was Monument Valley.
Yes. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
interesting. I think I've just picked that up recently, actually. Yeah, I've not played that either, but looks good as well. Donut County, difficult to visualize it from what you guys are saying. Raccoons making holes, but I'll definitely look at it. I think it's on Switch as well, actually. I've seen it. It's like about 8 or 9 quid. Or
It's
something,
like,
so.
have you played Katamari, Mark?
That's the rolling food ball thing, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't played that, no, but I've seen it
Okay.
and thought that also looks very impossible to describe.
Yeah. It's kind of like
Yeah.
it's kind of like that, but the opposite almost. Like rather than gathering stuff up, you're making stuff disappear,
Yeah.
and every time you
Okay.
make something disappear, the hole gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Basically. Yeah.
It's just a lovely few hours. That's probably the best way to describe that game. It's just a lovely way to spend a few hours.
Finished it in a few hours, and like I said, I think it was a train ride there and a train ride back, and it was just like, that's fantastic, really fun, well worth it.
Cracking. One of very few
awesome.
games I've finished twice as well. I
Okay.
finished it on the Switch, and then I finished it again on the PlayStation.
Just to get the platinum? Just for the platinum?
Just to get that
Or-
sweet plat. Yeah.
Alex, the disease is spreading, my friend. Right. Dan, you and anything else you want to talk about?
I can't even remember
a couple of other bits.
what I put on shows.
You put Sekiro down.
I bought it and I found it
Bought it.
finally. So that was one of my. I love when you guys probably resonate with this, but you're trying to find a game for ages, but you're not like, I'm not going online. I only want to go into a store and find it. So I went to Sweaty Sex in Liverpool and found it in there for 30 quid. So I traded in Arceus for that. So yeah, I'm quite happy with it. I bought it purposely for the Xbox because I'm conscious I'm not playing enough on the Series X, and I would like to start streaming it. So yeah, that's the plan. It's in the Xbox, which is the first step, and then after that step is to play the game. So there you go. That's my pickup.
And has this had all the, Alex, you'll probably know it, Sekiro had all the next-gen updates on Xbox?
I don't think so, no.
I'd imagine it'll probably have FPS boost and stuff though, so it's probably got some form of advantages.
Okay.
I
Is that
picked up.
published by Activision, that one?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
So a chance it might come to Game Pass then.
Very good
Likely
chance.
at some point, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Also picked up this before as well. So this is a Keychron K8, and it's not really a gaming keyboard, but it's a lovely bit of kit, and I thought I'd just show it off to you guys. So it's a mechanical keyboard, wireless or wired, depending on what you want. Just a very, very steady bit of kit. Metal body, very nice plastics. I've got red switches on this at the moment, which I'm really happy with. It's not too clickety-clackety like my other keyboard that my 3-year-old decided to launch on the floor because he found it hilarious. So there you go.
It looks like Darth Vader's keyboard. If Darth Vader were to have a keyboard, that might be the one he would choose.
I can see that. It's got a very Sith feel about it, and it lights up. It's very pretty. So yeah, there we go. That's a keyboard.
Nice.
That's very boring and middle-aged.
Well, talking about the future, Alex, you've been playing a game called, well, from the notes it says Spunk 2077.
Can I hold on just before you do that? The segue. Speaking about someone boring and very middle-aged, was right there for you.
Right there.
Come on, mate. Pick up. Pick up.
I would have even given you that one.
Honestly, God. Awful.
As.
Rusty
Yes,
as Max's hair.
Yes. I have been having a peek at the future, and finally, well, it's my turn to talk about Cyberpunk 2077. Given Dan talked about it last week, Laurie talked about it at Cross Button, and I'm currently playing it as well. So I've probably played about 6-7 hours. So I'm through the prologue, got to the title screens, just kind of starting it properly now, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I didn't play much of it when it first came out. I did pick up the Stadia version at the time because I had loads of Google credit, nothing to spend it on. So I bought that and got a free controller and 4K Chromecast and all that with it. So, played about an hour and didn't go back to it. But kind of going into it fresh now, not really knowing, not playing it at the time when it got all the criticism, and giving it that time's definitely benefited it. It plays nicely, it runs really nicely, really it really draws you in. So it's not quite fully got its hooks into me yet, but it's definitely getting there. I can feel it.
And this is one where the initial prologue takes quite some time, doesn't it? So you've got past that bit, and you're ready to. And what class are you playing as?
Corpo.
Good man.
Corpo. So yeah. I mean, I'm always going to have to go into the kind of netrunner type hacker / all that fun stuff. But yeah, I think the prologue was about 4 or 5 hours, maybe a bit longer before you actually see the title screen. So I'm only probably about an hour and a half after that. So what it does is some of the guys have said it kind of starts to open up and you get a bit more familiar with it after that, because it is quite overwhelming. Like, it's constant. Your phone's going, you get a message from someone, you get another message from someone, you upgrade this is a skill tree, this is a skill tree within a skill tree, this is something else, press this button to do this and do that. You're like, no. Let's just get to that marker and see what happens next. I think as you get more familiar with it, I think you really need my current impression is you really need to start getting those kind of base level upgrades to unlock a few more of the abilities to start making it a bit more second nature, and kind of getting there. Like, I do that, I know where I'm going, everything comes a bit more familiar, and you get there with it. But I'm looking forward to playing it. Other than that, though, oh, sorry, on you go.
Oh no, man, you carry on.
So, other than that, I finished Trek to Yomi, so I know I spoke about that last week. Really, really enjoyed it. So really good game. Even the combat by the end, I didn't mind as much. I know I kind of mentioned the combat, and a lot of people have had issues with the combat. By the end, just got a bit more used to it. You weren't bothered by it as much, and it just really good game. Not a great game by any means of the imagination, but for an indie game, it's a solid 8 out of 10. I really recommend playing it. Other than, have I played anything else? I managed to get back to playing Football Manager on xCloud on my phone.
No.
Oh no! I've got lost in that hole.
Who have you gone?
I've just continued my Rangers season that's been on like the 5th or 6th season that's been going. And I'm just like, you just sat and you hit the button because you don't even need it's all touch control. So you're just sitting there on your phone going, yeah, go.
And when you're playing that, is that you just do the best of Tina Turner, or do you get right into the albums?
A bit of both, yeah.
Okay.
But so that's I'm kind of teetering on the edge of that. I think I need to pull myself back from there. But that's really been it from me.
Is that one of those games that a bit like Civ 6 with me, where I shouldn't touch it? It's just too dangerous. If I go near it, it's like kryptonite.
You'll lose months or years of your life or something.
Go on, yeah. I think we probably all got a few of those. So, Ben, have you thought about Cyberpunk at all again? You've been tempted back?
Not really, no.
No. Okay. No. Oh, we'll leave that there then.
Wow.
Talking about...
No. Just no.
Just no. We're talking about underwhelming events. We might jump into new news now. Oh, God, that was terrible.
It was.
This is the segment called New News. We talk about news in this segment, and we've got 2 chunky bits of news, although probably running a little bit short on time, so I don't know how long we're going to spend on each one, but we should at least give them some lip service. That's lip again, Dan. Indie World. There was a new Indie World last week. Did anyone watch this?
Nope.
Yes.
Wow. 1 no, 1 yes. Alex?
I read about it. Is that in between?
Alex wins.
Well, Ben, you were the most enthusiastic, so are there any games that stood out to you? I can just go through the quickly, actually. There was Ooblets. There was Batura Lost Haven. There was Aleckhead, Soundfall, Wild Frost.
Stop there.
Totally. Oh, yep, go.
Aleckhead, Soundfall, and Wild Frost all are on my wish list now. They all look extremely good. Aleckhead looks like a good puzzformer. Mark, I think you'd be into that. Poor man's toe. What was it? Soundfall.
Yeah,
Alex, we were talking about that in Discord in the week. Yeah. I think Shy Guy started playing that, and he was singing its praises. Looks amazing, kind of rhythm-based dungeon loot, kind of lovely. One of them, and yeah. If you can't describe the game, just make a noise. And Wild Frost, whoa, lovely, isn't it? Yeah, is a deck builder. Deck building.
Chucklefish as well.
Yeah, with the kind of we've said this before about Nobody Saves the World. It's kind of got that grindstone-y presentation to it. It looks really slick, and I'm quite excited about that coming out in the winter, I believe. Time for the frost.
Oh, perfect timing. And Gunbrella, that seemed to be getting a lot of chatter from the Gato Roboto developers. Anyone interested?
Looked
I
pretty
think
cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I think that was
Devolver
next
did.
year, though, wasn't it?
Next year, it does say next year. Yeah, Switch next year. Yeah.
That's kind of a bummer. I don't want to see indie. I think that's a misstep.
There's a few in that with this one, because there was that one and the crab one at the end.
The crab
Yeah.
one was
Another
completely
crab's
insane.
treasure.
That's it, another crab's treasure from Aggro Crab.
Yep.
Love their little presentation with their crab claws, and that looks mental. It's like, what was it, like a Souls-like, but with crabs?
Yeah, shells like.
Shells-like.
Shells
yeah.
like.
These things are such a mess of puns all the way through. That's partly why I get angry watching them sometimes, just so many puns all the way through. But yeah, Gibbon looked quite interesting as a sort of stylish 2D platformer. There was also Cult of the Lamb.
That looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's really
that
good.
looks cool. Wayward Strand.
I don't even remember that one. That is a generic ass indie game title, isn't it?
It is. Apparently, it's a narrative adventure from Ghost Pattern, and it has a real look and a style to it. So there's a
Not a kid on one.
there's a compliment. Yeah. The one shot World Machine Edition. It says for fans of Undertale and Inscription. I think you really liked Inscription, Ben.
I've never played Inscription. I'm pretty certain I would like it though.
Yeah.
That's another Devolver one that was it was one of your predictions, wasn't it, that would come to Switch this year, I think.
Yeah, and it will be the highest rated game on Switch this year. That was my prediction.
So overall, how do we feel about the indie world? Okay, 7 out of 10, 4 out of 10, 3 out of 10. What do you think?
Probably a 6-ish. It wasn't the best.
No.
There's a
It wasn't
9 for
great.
me.
Really?
Oh wow. Okay.
There's absolutely shitloads there that I would definitely be trying.
You buy any old Tosh though, so it's like, you know what I mean.
I
Standards are low.
No, I bought Mini Motorways because that was a shadow drop. Bought that, played it through. Lovely little game. If anyone's played Mini Metro, it's very similar to that, except instead of building railway lines, you're building roads. Dan, I think you might like it actually. It's got that kind of. I think it is a mobile game. I think it came out.
I think it's on Apple Arcade.
Yeah. So check it out on there. But it's really good little time waster.
Okay.
Very light sort of puzzling, and yeah, it's pretty chilled. Very chilled.
I'll have a look at that.
Yeah, good
Cool.
game. Good game. Good game.
Did you pick up any of the other shadow drops? Sorry, Alex.
Well, Alex and I were talking about maybe getting Soundfall, and I don't know if I've imagined that, Alex, whether we were talking about playing it in co-op together.
We certainly talked about it, but we need to get it first. So.
Yeah, but it's a question of what platform to get it on, because I think it is out on all platforms.
Yeah.
And a cool
Apparently,
thing
I've heard
the. Go on.
I was going to say I've heard the haptics are very, very good on it, so that would probably sway me to PS5.
Yeah, and those trophies. And I've heard the PC version. I can't remember. Someone was saying on Discord. Was it Tyler or
I think it was or maybe Shy Guy. I think it might have been.
Yeah, but the PC version, you can put your own music into it, so you can choose the soundtrack and it will sync up the BPM. So you have to, in order to do damage, you have to shoot your gun in time with the music, and you can do
nice.
PC version with your
That's
own
cool.
music, which would be awesome. Yeah, cool.
And what music would you put on to that?
I'd put my own music that I created myself because I'm just that egotistical.
Would you replace every song's music, every game's music with your music?
If I could, yeah. Elden Ring would just be me. Just
You.
rapping.
Just rapping behind
Yeah, definitely.
it. Oh, Dan, if you were going to replace the music, what would you put on? Would you put on Ben or something else?
Probably just by like Alex singing Tina Turner from before. Good enough for me.
I'll record that especially for you, Dan.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
And you'd put on Coldplay, Alex, or something else?
Of course. I mean, imagine how slow that would be between shots. You'd have so much time.
Yeah, all the enemies would just kill themselves.
It's like easy mode.
Yeah,
So this one's a bit like Cadence of Hyrule, is it? But with guns and things. So you have to play in time to the beat. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think
That
you
was
don't have to
fucking-
move in time to the beat like Cadence of Hyrule or Crypt of the Necro. That's
Ah,
You can
okay.
Move freely, but you have to shoot in time with the music, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know how keen I am on that one because Cadence was bloody hard. Yeah, rhythm games in general.
Speaking of music, We Are OFK was on the indie showcase as well, wasn't it? I think.
Yep.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
I'm getting more interested in that game the more I hear about it. I know, Dan, when it was on the PS, I think it was on the PS showcase last year, you quite liked the look of it. It's the one that was like a band, the kind of making the band storytelling type game.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, I think it's weekly episodic or something, but their music does come out with it. And I've actually heard some of the music. It's pretty decent. And I think the more I'm now hearing about that game, the more I'm quite interested in it. So that's one I've got my eye on. Definitely.
Well, talking about what Alex has got his eye on,
Nice.
should we find out what he's had his eye on video game wise throughout his life?
No.
It's Ben 10s.
I didn't have the.
Benny's tennis.
I didn't have it ready. So you're gonna have to do
Already.
it. It's one of them.
Shambles.
I don't remember which one it was. So there we go.
We were having a chat. Alex wasn't sure whether he was going to do his 20 to 11. It's Benny's 20s.
It's on. You're on, by the way. It's just...
Or,
Oh,
okay.
hello. Hello,
Ah,
everyone.
Shit.
Right, Ben's 10s, Benny's 20s, Bevan's 7s. Alex, you are up next. We've had some absolute bangers from Dan and similar from Mark. Very different approaches. One leaning heavily on nostalgia, one trying to go for cool points. My feeling is you're going to sit somewhere in the middle. But what were your near misses? Have you got any near misses, or do you want to jump straight to 10?
No, I can give you the near misses, and this has been moving the whole day. So some of these have been right up, right down. So I'll start at the bottom, and this is the near misses are in no order. These have just been jumped about. So we'll get Super Mario Odyssey, Tetris 99, Tetris Effect Connected. I mean, you might get some themes as we go through here.
Just a bit.
Spider-Man, God of War, Lego Marvel Superheroes, Super Mario 64. So that takes you to... That's the one that didn't quite make it. And I think Super Mario 64 was supposed to make it, and I pulled it out, so now I've said it can't make it.
Good. Well done. The right choice. What? I didn't know you were that into Mario 64. I don't think we've ever had that conversation.
It was more like that kind of time. Like, I was like day one there with the N64, and Mario 64 was like, wow. And it goes with that same argument. You play it now, and it doesn't hold up. It's a nightmare to play now. But at the time, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. But not quite enough to make that top 10.
Fair enough.
And do you mind? Can I just butt in a second on this? Because you mentioned God of War there.
Yeah.
I'm sure last week or the week before he said it didn't grab him. Words to that effect.
No, I didn't say it didn't grab him. What I said was it didn't stay with me.
Oh, that was it.
So although I really enjoyed the experience and really enjoyed the game, it's not one I sat there and think about, which is why it didn't end up further up the list. Like any PlayStation game.
Still in the top 20 though, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is totally.
Look at Mark getting all bolshy now that he's got his out of the way.
I know, yeah.
He was all polite with Dan, and now Alex. Fuck off, Alex! You're talking. Shit.
I was just surprised to hear it there after. It sounded like you sort of dismissed it a little bit a week or two ago, but maybe you were saying you loved it, but it just didn't quite stick with you.
No, I really enjoyed playing the game at the time. I remember talking with Dan and Ben at the time because I think Ben had played it roughly about the same time as I was playing it, or just before I was playing it, and I did. And I think what I also probably mistakenly went through it too quickly. I don't think I took enough time over it to appreciate it enough, which is probably why I don't remember much about it. But I did enjoy the game.
All right.
Cool.
Well, I'll let you off then.
What did you enjoy more than God of War, Mario 64, Tetris 99? Number 10.
Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Oh, what a shout!
I didn't see this game ever making a list that I would say was of my favourite games, but when I played this game, it's the only JRPG I've played and finished. It's the only turn-based game I've probably finished. And for being batshit crazy, this game told a good story. Like that's what got this game there. It was how I resonated with the story that it told, particularly further into it and towards the end. Like, you really felt for the character. There's such good characters in that game. Like, Ichiban is fantastic. Like, and for a series to kind of take that chance and what it did, and going from that kind of more action-based game to a turn-based JRPG was quite a big risk, and I think it really paid off in this game, and I look forward to what comes after it, because it's crazy but so good. And I think probably one of the longest games I've played in a long time, other than Elden Ring, of course. But it's so good, so good.
I think that's a good shout, and I think you're bang on about the characters. I stand by him being probably the most endearing protagonist in a game that I can think of. Like, he's just a brilliant character. And yeah, it's a game I need to go back to and finish, but it is that's a good shout. Not one I considered prior to that. Interesting.
Didn't mind it. It was okay. It was I need to go back to it. I don't think it was like
it got better as you got into it. Like, at the beginning of it, it's like, I think like any of those kind of games, like getting used to it, getting into it, it takes a bit of getting there with, but once you, particularly late game, it really is where it's impactful.
Yeah, okay.
If there was ever a JRPG that I think Mark could get into, I think that would be the one, because it's just that batshit crazy.
Yeah, all those special moves and all the animations that go with that, and how it's all presented, and even like the details have been able to. And I think that's the same with the whole Yakuza series. This still is the only Yakuza game that I've played, because I didn't end up going back and playing the other ones. But like, being able to go into all those arcades, play all those classic games within the arcades, like all those Sega franchises and all that, the kind of way it was built out, there was so much depth to the game as well. Like, and it probably only scratched the surface of it in terms of how much I'd done when I finished it. I mean, I think I still was about 80 hours or something, maybe more, but I will go back to it and probably go through it, maybe not fully again, but maybe go and do some of the bits I didn't quite finish.
There's a lot to do. Like, you can get probably lost in. I know, Dan, when you talk about The Witcher 3, you talk about like playing Gwent for hours on end. There's a lot of stuff like that. Like, I played the business mini game for hours, which is just basically you're just trying to get these businesses up and running, get your stock prices up, and it's literally just watching numbers and then trying to then win over your board members, like at the end of every quarter or something like that. And it's just stupid, but I'd spent hours doing it, and then you get something good at the end of it. So it's like, it's a cool game. It's a cool game. Great. Well, there you go. You've gone for cool points. Surprise, surprise. Number 9.
I don't think anybody will be shocked to hear one of these on the list. And as I was saying to Dan earlier, this actually says Forza Horizon 3, 4, or 5, just because I didn't want to put them all on the list. So it's just kind of, I didn't quite know where to land, as in which one is my favourite of the 3. I think it probably is 3. I think if I had to pick one, I'd pick Forza Horizon 3.
So that's the Australia, isn't it? Is that
and it's they're now back. I think I feel like that's the one where it kind of really got into its stride. Like 1 and 2 were kind of right. We are taking that Forza Motorsport engine and we're going to try and make it fun and try and make it arcadey and kind of take all that detail, but take a completely different approach to it. And I think 1 and 2 did a good job, but 3 was probably where they landed on that format and what they built on from there on in. And I think it also had my favourite DLC. So the DLC, they always do really good DLC packs in Forza. Like, the DLC is excellent. Like, you had the Lego one in Forza Horizon 4, but this one had the Hot Wheels DLC and like the Hot Wheels Island, and it was amazing. Like, there was just so much fun to be had, and I love a driving game. I've always loved a driving game, so there was going to be one of them in here somewhere, and that's the one that made the list.
I'm just making a note of all the Zelda games I'll put on the Zelda.
No, I said that was the 3 that could have made it, and I did pick one. So
you did pick one. I'm only messing.
And you were awkward, Mark. You insisted on very niche versions.
Mark,
true.
awkward? Never.
Okay, good. I haven't got much to say about that. I haven't played that particular one, but I played 4 and 5. Yeah, they're good fun. Greatest game of all time? Who knows?
Oh.
But it's your list. Make of it what you will. Number 8.
Number 8 is Ori and the Blind Forest.
Blind Forest.
Yeah, and there is a specific reason for the Blind Forest making the list rather than Will of the Wisps, even though I would completely concede that Will of the Wisps is a better game, and it most definitely is a better game in every way.
Is it an emotional reason?
It's an emotional reason.
Emotion.
Ori and the Blind Forest was the one that drew me back in. That was the game I started playing, and I was sitting. I think this was early lock. It must have been early lockdown, early 2020. I decided I had my Xbox One X. Hardly used it. I thought, right, I'm going to get Game Pass for a month or so. Try this. Started playing that. Absolutely hooked from the beginning. Like, I just found a game that really got its claws into me. I went with it. I couldn't stop playing it, and that just totally rekindled like my love of gaming. Like, just kind of sitting there, getting that. Ultimately, what kind of got me looking back into games, and ultimately, kind of how I ended up here. And that's why that made the list over Will of the Wisps. So it's a nice
ended
game.
Up there in that hoodie, sat with us. It's mad to think it's only 2 years. Like, you've actually been like involved. It's crazy. Cray.
But I mean, it stands up as a game itself. It stands up. Like, Will of the Wisps is a better game. Like, that's what. But I mean, just that kind of the foundation it laid for Will of the Wisps. Like, the presentation of that game, like how pretty it looks, like the music, the characters again, the storytelling. It's just so well done.
Yeah, completely agree. It's yeah, I think I've only played Blind Forest this year. I played Will of the Wisps last year. And yeah, technically, the sequel is superior in pretty much every way. But yeah, I can imagine. When I first played the demo of Blind Forest, I had that exact same, like, wow, this is stunning. And you just get swept up in the emotion of it. The soundtrack just pulls you in, and it looks fantastic. It plays really snappy. It is... yeah, it's a good pick. I think maybe just looking ahead to when we eventually argue the toss about what's going to make our ultimate top 10 as a unit, as a podcast network, I think we may have to do some negotiating, Alex, possibly. And
I mean, I would be more than willing to negotiate that out for Will of the Wisp, but for my list, it's those emotional heartstrings that it yanks.
Of course,
that got it onto my list.
Okay.
But
It's going to be a
Will of the
bloodbath.
Wisp is
Don't
better.
back down, Alex. Don't back down. Don't back down. Save it. Save it.
I think Lewis might have something to say about that. I don't know if one of those games might be in his top 10, possibly. Number 7.
Psychonauts 2.
Oh, that
game
low on the list.
A game that
Number
a
6.
game that a game that Ben hated.
Go on.
You really didn't get on with that game, but I adored it. Like, just the whole world, the level design, it was so creative. The characters were brilliant. The music was great. The story was great. It was a bit how it dealt with mental health, how it kind of presented that for being a follow-up to a game of like being 20 years old or however long it was at that point in time. Or was it, 10? I can't get my years right, but quite a long time between Psychonauts and Psychonauts 2, and I'd never played Psychonauts until Elena nominated it in the Game Club. So when it was a Game Club game, that was the first time I played Psychonauts. I'd heard of it. It was one of those kind of throwaway ones, like, oh, I know that is, and I know Psychonauts 2 coming, but I don't really know much about it. Played it for Game Club. I'm like, this is brilliant. And I was so looking forward to that hitting in August last year, and I just got right into it. It made me, between playing that and playing Grim Fandango last year, it really made me fall in love with Double Fine as a developer completely. Like, it just, it was everything I wanted it to be at that point in time, and then just that little bit more. It did so much so well, even though most of you guys hated it.
No,
I really, really want to play it, Alex. It's just been sitting there at like only 50 quid or something everywhere I look for it. And it doesn't seem to be a physical version. So as soon as it's on my wish list, so as soon as it drops to sale on PlayStation, if it ever does, or if it just vanishes, who knows? I'll grab it and play it because, yeah, Ron Gilbert, big fan, Day of the Tentacle and stuff like that. So looking forward to it.
Good
Good choice.
I forget it's on PlayStation as well.
Yeah, it's because
I think it was an Xbox game. So.
Yeah, it was because the Kickstarter was before. It was kickstarted before Microsoft bought Double Fine. So it was already committed to being out on the other platforms.
Yeah, I think it is on my list of games I'd like to give another crack, but I did put a few hours into it, and I just don't think I like that Double Fine style, and I don't like their humour, and I think I felt like the way they dealt with mental health seemed a bit heavy-handed and a bit obvious. Whereas like something like Celeste did it in a kind of subtle-ish way. I don't know. Probably being too critical of it because I know people loved it, but I don't know. I just felt it was a little bit clunky and the style is a bit gross for my taste. So. Dan, got any thoughts on Psychonauts 2?
Not really, no. I mean, Double Fine stuff, it's not that it doesn't appeal to me, it's just that I haven't got around to it yet, and I don't really see it's the type of game that I need to play in the moment. Harken back to Mark's opening gambit when we started the podcast, it's not really it's not really something that I feel the pressure or the FOMO to kind of jump into yet. So I will jump into it. There's quite a few Double Fine games that I'm quite interested in playing, so it's good.
Yeah, so just a little peek behind the curtain. We kind of touched about this last week, but there are a few games that I'm highlighting as we go. So Mark said several of Mark's I want to actually go back and try, or at least finish, and I think Psychonauts 2 will be highlighted as one of them, Alex, before we make that ultimate call. So it's not all bad,
but none of yours, Dan. Just be.
I know, yeah, I was waiting for it's like several of yours, Marks. Okay, Final Fantasy 12 all over again. Cheeky ballad.
But all of Lewis's is going to replay, save them, play with him.
Kiss.
But, no.
He's going to put them on
we're making the list together. It's fine. I'll pick it if you do. Number 6, Alex.
Halo. Original Halo.
Oh, shit.
Combat Evolved.
Yes.
Okay. God, I didn't see that coming.
Great game.
No, it's such a good game, but I mean, I'm not a Halo player. Like, you guys have seen me playing Halo, and I'm not as bad at Halo as I am at Rocket League, but it's not far.
Well,
but it takes me back to that point of the hype in the lead up to the Xbox launch, like waiting in that original Xbox coming, like doing all the research beforehand, reading all up, trying to pick what bundle you wanted, trying to kind of look at the development of the games coming along. But back in the day when there wasn't podcasts, there wasn't really that much in terms of internet was quite still probably at its infancy at that point. It was a little bit developed, but you were just getting to the stage where you were just getting broadband. You didn't have, maybe weren't that familiar with how to get all the information, and it was still. I mean, I wasn't one that got all the different magazines and everything because it cost too much. So it was a bit like it was you got all the magazines as you got your Xbox. You didn't get both. So it just takes me back to like that whole lead up, and I think it was as well when you didn't have the global launches. So that hit in November, and the Xbox came out in November, and we weren't getting it till March. And you were hearing all the buzz about it, and you're like, "Oh, this game is so good!" And you're like, "Yeah." And then I got it, and I loved it. That first time you went into the Warthog, and you're going exploring through the landscapes, and you're just like, "This is so good." And it did so much for that type of game. Like it took on consoles. I mean, you can obviously there's been all the different documentaries for the Xbox anniversary and stuff this year, but there'll always be a kind of special place for Halo, even though it's not a series I really stuck with because it's not a genre I've ever been particularly good at, but that one game will always kind of stick with me in that experience at the time.
Was that the game that basically took, Mark's favourite genre, the boomer shooter, and transferred it over to console? Because previously it was all sort of mouse and keyboard, wasn't it?
I think it was the first one that worked. I don't think it was actually the first one. I think there was others that had already kind of transitioned, but I think it was the first kind of...
Wow, this is just as good as what you can do on a PC almost.
And then it kind of brought along with it was the kind of first one then with even when we went into the series, like when Xbox Live then came along, taking it online and all that side of things. It kind of the one that kind of gave it the strides to where it is today. So it kind of set those foundations.
It was after GoldenEye.
I was going to say GoldenEye came before it.
GoldenEye, but that didn't perfect like twin stick shooters, did it? That was a fucking... Go back and play it now.
All right, I will. Yeah, no.
I mean, it did say, yeah.
Who'd have that on their top 10?
Trying to think what else came before it.
That's probably like
there were others before it. It wasn't the first. It definitely wasn't
certainly
the first.
The one that elevated it to something that was on par with PC shooters, I think. But yeah, I've never played the first one. I think my first Halo game was Halo 3. But yeah, this is another one I'll be highlighting to go back to on the Master Chief Collection.
Lena's got some good Halo stories from back in the day and going into all the LAN parties and stuff and carrying that big beast of an Xbox about with you. She's got some good stories from back then that I look forward to hearing.
Probably argue as well. I don't know if Halo's dated that well. I think Halo 2 is just about dated okay. ODST is fantastic. Because I was replaying the Master Chief Collection a while back, so yeah. I'd be selective because I think Halo 2 is probably the better game as well. Arguably.
Yeah, I think 2 is the better game.
He's going with feeling. It's fine.
Yeah, no, can't argue. Can't argue. I'm just, again, like you said before, Ben. If we're gonna come to make our massive list, then we need to be sensible. Emotion needs to come out of it.
No, more emotion. Alex, give us
more emotion.
Number 5, come on.
Super Mario Bros. 3.
Oh, emotional. I like it.
That is emotional. And I think did I talk about this in the sit down? Of this being the first game that I bought?
Yes,
I think I did.
You did.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why we landed in this for the 2D Mario. Because this is the one that I remember being the first game that I ever bought, as in person. Me buying it wasn't the first game I had, because I did have like Super Mario Bros. 1 and stuff and like some of the NES games, but it's the first one I actually remember going out and buying. And there's obviously all the debates. Which one's the best? Is it Mario World? Probably. But Mario Bros. 3 is my favourite. And that's why it's on my list.
I love that game. A great game.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible game. Absolutely
no arguments here whatsoever. Absolutely amazing.
Could be one of the best. To be fair, I think Mario, like World, always gets the plaudits, and I've got very fond memories of World as well. But yeah, the Super Mario 3 and that collection it came with, the All Stars, that was something special, really special.
Yeah, and it was. I'm old enough to remember it when it first came out, and when the movie The Wizard was about. Basically, that film came out before Mario 3, but it had Mario 3 in the film.
Yeah,
and that was the game that they played at the end of it. It was just incredible. Just it felt magical that there was even a film about video games, but the fact it was about this video game that I was like really excited about, it's just the best thing in the world. And that game is perfection. It is really just people we take the piss out of Mario 64 not holding up. This game absolutely holds up. I've played it. I think I played it a little bit last year. When we did Game Club and played Mario 2, but I played a bit of Mario 3 as well. It's just brilliant. I could waste a day playing that game. Happily. Good choice, Alex. Good choice. Arguably superior to Super Mario Brothers Deluxe as well, but we'll
what is that game?
It's funny that we've now had World 3 and the first one. So we're sort of clearing off the early 2D Mario Brothers games
Yeah.
between us.
best
So
ones.
just pick one, and that'll be fine for the top 10.
I don't think we have had World. Or did you have World?
I had it in my
And
top
World.
20. I did. I
Oh,
did
yeah,
have my
20.
top 10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's been
I've
tough.
got. I have a fairly certain we might see it in Mr. Wilson's.
Rightly so. Yeah. Also, spoilers for future Ben's 10s after we've done all this stuff. We will be ranking the definitive top 10 Mario games, both 3D and 2D mainline Mario games.
It's going to be a bloodbath.
Yes.
Will be
Jesus
a horror
Christ.
show.
Fight to the death.
Stick around, listeners. Alex, number four.
This is where we get a bit more predictable. So number 4 is The Legends of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
Number 4.
Main reason it's not higher is because I haven't finished it. So
I
that's
didn't
down
even
to
think
me.
you liked it that much.
Oh, I did. I was absolutely infatuated with that game when it came out. Like,
How can that be number 4 and you've not finished the game? That's why I
that's why
like.
it's not,
Yeah.
Fight!
Yeah, I can't.
that's why it's not higher.
I know, yeah, but I couldn't put any game in my top 10 if I hadn't finished it. That's why Persona 5 couldn't get in there.
Just think about things differently. Even though I didn't
Hypocrite.
finish it, the amount of
What a brilliant answer. That is perfect.
That is a great answer.
I mean, I can my list a lot came round about how much enjoyment I got out of these games. So even though I've not finished
No,
it,
no,
I
it's
still
fine, it's
get a
okay. That's what you want your-
hell of a lot of enjoyment.
That's what you want your top
And
list to be.
And
It's fine.
I've probably not done this as my top 10 best games of all time. It's my top 10 games for me of all time.
Yeah, it's fine. No, if that's how you want to.
Nice.
That's how you want to go about your day. That's fine. It's okay.
Well, we all approached it. I mean, you had a bit more of a nostalgia. I think you've also got a bit more of a nostalgia with yours, Alex, because I sort of started with the premise that I wanted to be able to play these games like tomorrow. I would want to be able to replay them, and would they still hold up? And bearing a couple of exceptions, I would be happy to. But you guys have gone more with the emotional attachment of your memory of the game. So there are different ways of thinking about the list, aren't there?
Yeah.
And to be honest, like certainly with the older games, I don't think I started finishing games until like GameCube, Dreamcast era. So I don't think I ever finished Mario 3 or Mario World.
I didn't start finishing
replayed
games
the
till
first
last year.
few levels. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, crack on.
2021 was probably the first year I finished a game.
But yeah, go on then? What can you possibly say about Breath of the Wild that hasn't already been said?
Nothing. Ultimately.
Fair.
I mean, I could just regurgitate some shit, but is there really
Nah,
any
fuck it.
point? Because everybody
Move on.
knows.
Go on, do
We
it.
all know it's really good.
all I
I think
did.
everyone's had it. Everyone's had it on their list so far. Mark had it at number 10. Mark. But yeah, fair enough. Number 4 is good. Number 3, Alex.
Elden Ring.
Oh shit!
Bronze medal. Bronze medal.
Yeah.
Have you finished that?
Wow.
I did finish that.
Got the
I
pla-
did. No, I haven't got the platinum. And I've got no intention to get the platinum because
Oh,
I
it would never stop.
will
Elden
never
Lord.
play that game again. And I will never play another FromSoft game unless there's maybe an Elden Ring 2. Or when Elden Ring 2.
Sorry, this has just reminded me. I've got to interject. So I went out with a couple of mates last night that I haven't seen for a long time, and they were asking me, "Oh, you still doing the podcast?" I was like, yeah. Oh, what game's good at the moment? And I was like, "Well, everyone's playing Elden Ring. You've probably heard of that." They're like, "Yeah." And then I just went into this. Yeah, no, I was the first one to finish it. And I got a platinum. And they just looked at me like, "What have you become, mate? What
You're
are
right,
you?
mate.
Wait.
What even are you?"
You used to be a rapper, Ben. You were cool.
What's happened? Yeah. And and then we left, and that was it. Anyway, Alex, what are your thoughts on Elden Ring?
I mean, this Elden Ring comes down to as much of that sense of exploration and that just the huge scale of that game and how lost you can get in that world. Like, it's incredible. Like, you can't take much away from that game. Yeah, you can maybe argue some of the bosses get a bit repetitive. Yeah, you could argue it's maybe a bit too hard. Yeah, you can. But for all of the negatives, there's about 10 positives to that game. Like, it's something else. Yes, I more than had enough of it by the 140 hours or whatever it was when I finished it. And no, it won't be going back in my PlayStation. But to experience it to experience it in the moment. Probably back to your point at the beginning, Mark, to kind of do it the way we did it and have that. I've never had that experience of playing a game in a group with other people before, because they're either like, it's just I've never been in a position where that any of my friends like before played games or anything like that. So to do it now, it was like that was incredibly special to do that with you guys, because it was just good. Want of a nice like, and it's. I never ever thought I would finish a game that hard, because I always gave up too quickly at games. I was very and you know, Ben, like that very first couple of days, and I think me and you sat down and you screen shared a little bit of yours, like you shared played it, kind of show me, just kind of gave me the basics, and then after that I was like, I get it now, that's it. I'd never had that before. If I didn't have someone that had done that with me, I would have just given up. Like, so
like a father figure or some sort of hero. Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
That's what we all need. Yeah, that's what we all need.
Good. No, mate, I'm very pleased that you enjoyed it that much. And look, we are. I think we've agreed today that we are going to do the return of cross section, and the first episode of that is going to be Elden Ring. Mark has declared himself out of the running because he's never going to finish it.
The Elden Chode.
The Elden Chode.
But yeah, again, similar to Breath of the Wild, there's not much else we need to say about it. Go back and listen to the last 20 episodes and you'll see how we all feel about it.
Yeah.
Number 2.
Just as I saw that Tyler had said in the chat, I'm surprised you haven't seen Luminous yet. It's not. Although I should have said and put my pick up and play. I did actually spend hours earlier this week getting lost in Lumines on my Vita again. I just turned. I was lying and I just put it on, and then it was like 2 hours into one run, and you're like, oh, it's such a good game. But on the theme of puzzle type games, and going back to my Desert Island cartridges, number 2 is Tetris.
Nice.
I love a puzzle game. I love Tetris. You've seen there was another 2 versions of Tetris in the longer list. Couldn't quite decide which one to put on and which one I enjoy the most, but I don't think you can beat that. I don't think it's quite the original. It's probably Tetris Game Boy, like as in the Game Boy version of this. That was my kind of early kind of youth. When I got that Game Boy, that was in it for months. And I've never lost that love of Tetris. To the extent, like when the Xbox Series X launched, I'm like, I'm leaving Ori and the Will-O-Wisp to play, I'm leaving this to play, I'm leaving that to play, I'm leaving that to play. And I think I spent the first 2 months playing Tetris Effect Connected. So it was always going to be there, it was just where it landed. So Tetris it.
Yeah, hard to argue with that.
Can't argue with that.
Can't argue with it.
Perfect game. A rare perfect game. Beyond criticism. Genuinely is.
I could try, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic.
Okay. You've completed it, Alex. Right.
Of course. I mean,
yeah, well played, man.
I got to that game-breaking bug score, so.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
No.
All right, good. What is that final big long block that slots perfectly in the middle at number 1?
Feeling a little bit copycat here. And I did kind of allude to this last week that we might be seeing this game again. So number 1 is Portal 2.
Yes, mate. Yes,
wow.
Alex. Nice one, mate.
So...
God, you've made up for this last 9, I'll tell you that.
It's the most animated I've ever seen Mark. That was fantastic.
Yes!
He's
alive!
I think for all the reasons that Mark had it up there, like I only went through, again, this was one of my 2021 completions. I did start this game when it came out in the Xbox and probably gave it about half an hour because I just was a different person back then in terms of how I played my games. And it was quite interesting because to do this list, I had to go back through and look at all the games I'd played in the past. And you go back right to the beginning of like when achievements happened, and it's like 5 out of 1,000, 10 out of 1,000, 5 out of 1,000, 10 out of 1,000. I must have wasted so much money back then. So much money. But going back to this again, as part of Game Club last year, I bought the Xbox 360 again to play it on. Even though I didn't have to, but I did because I wanted to play Project Gotham Racing as well, which didn't actually make the list and kind of should have, but Forza got there instead. Just the humour, the writing, the setting, the characters, the puzzles, having such a basic kind of puzzle mechanic, but developing it in such a complex manner as well. Like the fundamentals of that game are quite basic. Like you can move a block, you can get in one, out the other, and then it's just solving how you use that mechanic, and then obviously the addition of the gels to solve those puzzles, and it's fantastic. I would love.
Sorry, you'd love.
No, on you go. No, it's fine.
I was just going to ask a question. Did you use a guide at any point playing Portal 2? We're all friends here. It's no shame.
I think I had to use it for one of the levels. I did, so I did. I didn't use a guide to get through it. It was only one of the levels like I got stuck at.
Yeah.
In the middle, and it wasn't. It was one of these like you had to probably. It was all it got that complicated. You had to be away up in this very high level to drop something through a hole to shoot it somewhere else so that it built up enough velocity to get over there to hit a gel. So I think, because some of them do get to a point where they are, really complex, but it's amazing how complex they can get them with using so few mechanics.
And it builds.
Yeah.
So it builds gradually in complexity. So you're not sort of just dropped in, halfway through with all the complexity. It does help you to learn those later levels and work them out. But there are moments where you have to take a reappraisal of the whole stage that you're in, like see the whole structure from another angle. And then it kind of clicks. Yeah, awesome.
So I think that's where I dropped off with it. Is just found it's just irritated me. Because I know it's a short game. I'm trying to get through it quickly, if that makes sense. And I'm just thinking, well, it shouldn't be taking this long. It's fucking annoying. And then I just stopped playing it. But I feel like maybe I should just look up a guide for that particular level.
Yeah, I think there's no harm in going in there's no point in letting yourself get annoyed at it. I think if you get to that stage, you don't work out, and you usually, even if you had to look up the guide, probably one little bit is the bit that you're missing, and then once you see that, then it all kind of clicks. And as Mark says, it builds. So once you've learned that bit that you got stuck at there, you'll use that.
Yeah, so you don't need a whole guide. You just need, that's the thing I'm missing. Right, cool. I'm away.
And I'd love to play the co-op part. I've still not played the co-op part of Portal 2.
I forgot about that, man. Yeah.
It's a completely different game. Like the way the co-op was built was basically you must design these levels that can only be played in co-op, and if there's any way you could do this without playing it in co-op, then they got scrapped and started again. Like they were fully designed for that kind of immersive, proper co-op experience, and that one day I will find someone that will play it in co-op with me.
Well, I was going to say, if the Switch version has got co-op, then maybe you and Mark could get together.
What an idea! There you go.
Yeah,
great idea, man. That's fun. Let's hope it does.
Absolutely.
It's exciting.
All right, so Portal 2 was already highlighted as one I need to go back to last week, and now it has been double highlighted. That is a rare achievement for a game. Good. Well, that's
it's official now. It's the best game of all time, isn't it? It's compounded it really with.
If we were doing it based on points alone, then probably would be. But let's run down your top 10, Alex. You've got Yakuza Like a Dragon, Forza Horizon 3, 4, or 5. Let's say 3. Ori and the Blind Forest, Psychonauts 2, Halo Combat Evolved, Super Mario Bros. 3, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Elden Ring, Tetris, and at number 1 you've got Portal 2. Excellent list. Another good one.
Meaty list.
There's lots of really good games on these lists. It's really good. Yeah, who would have thought? But yeah, folks, that's Ben's Tens. Get involved if you want to hear any more. What kind of lists you want to hear? We have some great ideas thrown around in the Discord. such as Luke has said, top 10 controllers. Mark, top 10 suggestions for top 10 suggestions. Sarah,
It's always one, isn't it? Always one.
top 10 retro games on modern consoles. Mark, you'd enjoy that one. Jason, top 10 consoles, and then Tyler, top 10 franchises in gaming.
Ooh,
That's
that
a
one's
good
good.
one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But yeah, let us know what you want to hear. And that is Ben's 10s for this week. Next week, if Lewis is around, we'll do Lewis. If not, might just be me.
When Lewis is around.
Yeah.
When?
Didn't he say he's in Luxembourg or something next week? So you might have to do Ben's 10s just with yourself, mate.
Shit.
That'll be all right, won't it? You can host yourself.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fine.
You've been hosting yourself for years.
Oh, it's my turn to host as well. Hey.
Oh, sorted.
Perfect.
2 days before the due date as well, so that's not going to go wrong.
We'll give you a little going away party.
That sounds a bit insidious, but okay.
What are we doing next, Mark?
We are wrapping up, actually, I think. Unless, you want to do a little game. But we've kind of been waffling on for quite some time. So we can save the game for when Lewis is back, if you want.
Yeah.
How do we feel?
Come on, Ben. What were you going to say? I'm fine either way.
No, I'm easy.
Well, we know that, but what do you want to do? Do you want to do the game? Or?
I don't know. Is it one round?
One round, yeah.
I mean, I could go.
Come on, then.
Let's
Why not?
play the game.
In for a
Let's
penny,
do it.
in for a round.
In that case...
The patrons demand it. They want one.
Oh, they've asked for games, haven't they? Yeah, they love a game. Okay, let's do it.
I haven't got the button, so you're just going to have to... I forgot to do it before we started, so sorry.
It's Mario. It's Mario.
Crack on.
All right, everyone sing at once. It's Mario, baby. Right, Mario, welcome. It is finally available in Europe edition. Mario or Smario is the game where I dig out 4 weird and wonderful facts about a particular game. However, one of those facts isn't a fact. It's actually bollocks. And the lads are going to work out which one that is. And today we're playing a juicy little game that I like to call Earthbound or Earthworm. Are you guys ready for this week?
Yeah, go on.
Where are we scores at the moment, Alex? Where are we?
Oh,
You haven't got it. It's all right.
No.
Doesn't matter. Okay.
Dan's
I think Lewis
I'm winning.
is
Lewis
last.
has got
Dan's
0.
winning. Usual.
Yeah,
Okay.
Lewis got to.
As per usual, I will read them and then drop them into the thingy, and then we'll find out who's going first. Okay. Number 1. The promotional campaign in the US read, "This game stinks," alongside scratch and sniff advertisements. Number 2. Pirated versions of the game had more enemies and were impossible to complete. Number 3. In the original Japanese version, Ness is naked in one section of the game. In the US version, he wears pajamas for that section. Number 4. The Virtual Console release was delayed until the Wii U due to difficulties renewing the music licenses for Chuck Berry and the Beatles. Okay, we'll put that in. And Sedan, you have been chosen, so can you decide who goes first, please?
What were the scores again? Who was nearest to me?
I think Alex.
Crotch
Whoa.
shot. Hello.
I think Alex and I are 1 or 2 points behind you. I think Alex and I are drawing, as far as I know.
I think, yeah, potentially.
So take your pick. Who's your favourite?
Oh, go on, Ben. You can go then.
Oh,
As my favourite.
wait, hang on.
Oh shit! Oh no.
Oh. Okay, so in the interest of time, I'm just going to jump straight to the one that I think it is, and I'm not going to give reasons for that because I don't want to give these guys any help. I think it's number 3 in the original Japanese version. Ness is naked in one section of the game. In the US version, he wears pajamas for that section.
Okay.
I think he's not naked.
Okay, thank you,
But
Ben.
now I think, hang on. Now I think about
shit.
it. Oh shit! Let me read the others. I see. This is the thing. I tried to be quick, and now I'm second guessing myself. Hang on. Pirated versions of the game have more enemies. No, fine. No, I'll stick with that. Stick with number 3.
You sure you're not going to change your mind again? In the interest of time. Are you going to change your mind?
In the interest of time, no. I'm pretty sure I've heard at least 2 of the other 3 as facts.
Oh,
So
well, that is giving some information away.
It is.
Okay, let's find out who's next. Oh shit, this is great this week. So Ben, so you can choose who goes next.
Back at you, Dan.
Fuck. Okay. One. In the original Japanese version, there's naked. Pirated versions, the game with more enemies. Promotional company. This game stinks. I'll scratch it about elements. I'm going to go with number 2.
Okay, thank you, Dan.
Pleasure.
Alex.
I was also going to go with number 2, so since Dan said number 2, I'm also going to say number 2. Anyway.
Okay.
Okay.
I was going to do. That was where like my head was going anyway, but
Okay.
Dan's just kind of cemented the
Big
in my head.
cheat.
So we've got Ben for number 3, we've got Dan for number 2, and Alex copying Dan for number 2. Right. Okay. Let's just mess Alex. I know you wouldn't copy Dan. Right. Okay. Let's start with number 1. The promotional campaign in the US read, "This game stinks," alongside scratch and sniff advertisements. That one is a Mario. That is true. That's exactly how they did advertise it. Is that one of the ones you'd heard about, Ben?
It is, yeah. That's the one I'm most certain about, I should say.
Okay. And that was just due to the sort of, I think there's quite sort of puerile and silly humour in the game. I've never played it, but apparently that's the case. And they were trying to capitalise on that for the US advertising campaign and spent a good chunk of change trying to get people to buy it unsuccessfully. Let's go to number 3 next. In the original Japanese version, Ness is naked in one section of the game. In the US version, he wears pajamas for that section. That one is also a Mario. That's true as well. There are 2 different versions of the game. And he's naked in the Japanese one, which is kind of crazy. I've never heard about that. And maybe that's the reason that that game isn't on the mini SNES thing. In the Japanese version of the mini SNES, it's on the US one, but not the Japanese one.
Ah, okay.
Maybe they're less happy with nudity these days. Who knows? Okay. Time to change. We will now go to number 2, which was pirated versions of the game had more enemies and were impossible to complete. That one is also a Mario.
Yes. Yes.
Smashed it.
Scumbag. Accelerating that. Terrible.
Yeah, so really interesting. It had piracy content protection, whereby if you were playing a pirated version of the game, there'd be more enemies, and the game would reset just as you were approaching the final section of the story. It would reset and wipe your save file, so you weren't able to complete it, which I think is just kind of cool.
Yeah, I don't
For a
think
game
we'd
of
have
its
that kind of technology at that point in time.
Yeah, how cool is
Do you know
that?
what? And thinking about it, the Beatles can't be in this game, surely.
They are. They feature heavily in this game, and so does Chuck Berry.
Really?
The music and there's sequences of music, and they're referenced throughout the game. There's various musicians that are referenced throughout the game. The Beatles are one of them. But that, number 4, is actually an established fan myth that was around at the time, and I borrowed that for this Mario. So people thought that, which is why they thought when it didn't come out on the Wii, they were like, Virtual Console, it's going to come out, this will come out. They were all excited. It didn't come out until the Wii U many years later, and the rumor was that was why, but that's been discredited by Nintendo, so that's not true.
You get me every time with these little half-truths and myths.
Fully discredited. Have they fully said what the reason actually was?
Well, anyway, let's move on. That was Mario's Mario, and
I feel like we've been here before.
thank you for playing. That's a point to me. Thank you so much for playing Mario's Mario this week, and that is the end of today's show. That was CrossCast 71. Let's give a shout out to all of our lovely, juicy little patrons: Sean Hughes, Tyler Renard, Jason Frost, Lenana DeSalters, Tristan Brooks, Sarah Perbrick, Rebecca Rudenath, Tim Ulf, Luke Cooper, Kevin Scully, and Grumpy Grumpstain, Grumple Stiltskin, Mark Hammond.
Grump steak.
And if you out there would like to become a patron, you can do so for as little as £2 a month. Only £2 a month. It's basically nothing. That's that's like half the price of a coffee anywhere these days. And you can gain access to all sorts of exclusive content, have your say in what we do, whether or not the hell we do quizzes, or whether we don't do quizzes, whether we kick me off the podcast or not. You know, these are the things you can go and have a say about. So get a vote. If there's any reason in the world that you should join, that should be the reason. So you can make that decision. Get me out of here. And talking about getting everyone out of here, let's all say goodbye. That was CrossCast. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Au revoir. Au revoir. That was fun.
Kept me waiting.
Thank you.